USB-C was supposed to fix the cable mess. Instead, it produced a different mess. Every cable in your drawer looks identical, and the spec range is absurd. A USB 2.0 charge-only cable looks identical to a 240-watt 80 gigabit Thunderbolt 5 cable. Your Mac is charging at 30 watts when the charger can do 96. Why? Probably the cable. WhatCable is a small open-source macOS menu bar app that finally tells you which cable is which, and exactly why your Mac isn't charging at full speed. MIT licensed, written in Swift, 3 days old on GitHub, 1,400 stars already. Built by a developer who got fed up with the same cable mystery every Mac user has lived with for the last 6 years. This is WhatCable by Daryl Morley. The repo went public on May 1st, 3 days ago, and it's already crossed 1,462 stars, 33 forks, MIT licensed. Swift on top of Swift UI for the menu bar popover, IOKit underneath for the data, universal binary signed with the developer ID, notarized by Apple. No gatekeeper warnings, just download, drag to applications, click. Apple Silicon only, and worth being upfront about why. The USB PD state and cable eMarker data. WhatCable depends on are surfaced through Apple's I/O kit on the M-series chips. On Intel Macs, the USB-C ports are driven by Intel's Thunderbolt 3 controllers, and the same data isn't exposed through any public I/O kit accessor, Sonoma macOS 14, or later required. And the charging diagnostic is the headline feature, per port, in plain English, an at-a-glance headline, Thunderbolt/USB 4, USB device, charging only, slow USB cable, nothing connected. When something's plugged in, a banner explicitly identifies the bottleneck. Quote, cable is limiting charging speed. When the cable's rated below the charger. Quote, charging at 30 watts, charger can do up to 96 watts. When the Mac is asking for less, usually because the battery is near full, quote, charging well at 96 watts, when everything matches. Below that, the cable's actual eMarker info, speed in gigabits, current rating up to 240 watts, the chip's vendor, the charger's full PDO list, every voltage profile it advertises, with the currently negotiated one highlighted live. Attached USB devices grouped under the physical port they're plugged into, with their negotiated speed. Option click reveals the raw I/O kit properties for engineers. One Homebrew command to install, brew tap Daryl Morley /WhatCable, brew install -- cask WhatCable, done. The menu bar app shows up in your bar, and the bundled CLI gets symlinked into your path automatically. If you'd rather skip Homebrew, grab the WhatCable.zip from the releases page, unzip, drag the .app to applications, you're running. The CLI version is the part most people miss on first install. There's a WhatCable binary that ships alongside the menu bar app, driven by the same diagnostic engine. Run WhatCable bear for a human-readable summary of every port. WhatCable -- JSON for structured output you can pipe into JQ. WhatCable -- watch to stream updates as cables come and go. WhatCable -- raw to include the underlying I/O kit properties. How it works under the hood is the part engineers will love. WhatCable reads 4 families of I/O kit services, no entitlements, no private APIs, no helper daemons. Apple HPM interface, Type 10, 11, and 12 on M3 era machines, and Apple TC controller types 10 and 11 on M1 and M2. Those give per port state, transports, plug orientation, and eMarker presence. I/O port feature power source, the full PDO list from the connected source with the live winning PDO. I/O port transport component, CC-USB PD-SOP, the PD Discover Identity VDOs for both the port partner and the cable eMarker, and the XHCI controller subtree for matching connected USB devices to physical ports via the registry path. The cable speed and power decoding follows the USB power delivery 3.x spec. The whole thing is roughly a clean reading of public macOS AP, is that nobody else thought to put a friendly face on. Pause on the velocity for a moment. 3 days from public release to 1,400 stars. That kind of growth on a tiny utility app tells you the pain point is real and underserved. Apple knows the data exists. The I/O kit accessors, WhatCable uses, are public. They just never built the friendly UI on top. Daryl Morley took an afternoon to write the Swift UI popover, an evening to render the PDO logic, a day to add the bundled CLI, and shipped a tool that solves a problem every Mac Power user has cursed at since 2016. The lesson: there are a lot of these problems left. Hardware info utilities are a category nobody bothers to maintain because the upside seems small. Every once in a while, somebody actually builds one and discovers thousands of people were waiting for it. Brew tap Daryl Morley /WhatCable, brew install cask WhatCable, click the menu bar icon, and the cable mystery ends. macOS 14 or later, Apple Silicon only. Subscribe to Awesome FOSS. We find the projects that actually slap.